Good morning. We will call this March 17th, 2025 work session of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners to order. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell is not present. District 2 Commissioner Whitney Kenner-Jones.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Martin Raxton.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Vice Chair Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones.
Present. Good morning again to the citizens of Douglas County, and today is St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day. Clerk, did we have anyone sign up for public comment?
No, ma'am, we did not.
All right. All right, that moves us straight into our agenda adoption. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? Okay, being none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do we
Second.
we have a motion and a second on the floor. Board, any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand if you, okay, we have a full unanimous vote to approve the agenda, and the motion carries. Time limits, Board, as a reminder, each commissioner will have 3 minutes to make remarks with a 2-minute rebuttal. So if we just could please observe our rules, that would be highly and greatly appreciated this morning. Approval of our minutes. Next on our agenda are the meeting minutes. Commissioners, please review those minutes by tomorrow, and please be prepared to approve or deny accordingly. Financial report, please be prepared to adopt the financial report for the month of February 2025 during tomorrow's meeting as well. Proclamations, Board, we will have 2 proclamations being presented tomorrow. Proclamation in honor of Terrence Lamont Postel Boys and Girls Club, and proclaiming the month of March 2025 as Procurement Month in Douglas County. Agenda items, we will now begin our agenda items. Clerk, please begin with the first agenda item. You have the floor, Madam Clerk.
Yes, ma'am. Under grants, we have number 6, approval to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court emergency grant to fund adult felony court, drug court, in the amount of $53,000 with no match, establish the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Karen Alexander.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I am bringing forth approval for the emergency grant. These funds are supplemental to our fiscal year 25 operating grants for drug court to use for treatment, surveillance, and drug testing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Alexander, any questions for? Okay. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so are these grants, it looks like the grant period is for 90 days for both this item and the next item, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we do have a way that those funds, if they are expended within those 90 days, that we won't lose anything. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and were these grants expected, or are these grants above and beyond what was
They're
forecast?
above and beyond, yes. They're emergency grants that we're able to apply for each time to try to supplement what we already have.
Okay, so they'll be used to do additional services, programming,
Yes,
et
sir.
cetera, and we'll see an increase there.
Yes, sir.
With the usage of this grant as well as the next one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Any other questions, Board? All right. Madam Clerk, you have the next item.
Okay, number 7, approval to accept the fiscal year 25 Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court emergency grant to fund the adult mental health court in the amount of $16,500 with no match, establish the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Karen?
Is the same thing but for a Hope Court program.
Okay. Any questions, Board?
All right, thank you.
No questions. Thank you so much.
You all have a good day.
Alexander, you too. Madam Clerk, you have the next item.
Number 8, approval to accept fiscal year 2025 multi-funded budget amendment number 1, sub-grant amendment AG 2505.1 in the Atlanta Regional Commission in the amount of $800,893.57 with reimbursement not to exceed $750,852.65 with a local match of $50,000 $40.92 to be funded through Senior Services Department budget, amend the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Consuela Gilchrist.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, County Administration, members of the board. Yes, this is an amendment to our annual grant with the Atlanta Regional Commission. It is an increase for our home and community-based services, as well as our congregate meal and home delivered meals program.
Okay. Board, we have any questions for Dr. Gilchrist? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So when you said that this is an increase, is that 800,000 that the initial budget, or was it increased by an additional amount?
It
Just
was
so I'm clear.
increased by $50,040.91.
Okay, so the local match,
Yes.
that's the increased amount. Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. Any other questions, board? All right. Next item for Dr. Gilchrist.
Yes, ma'am. Number 9 is approval to extend the 2021 CDBG grant through April 21st, 2026, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review.
Yes, this is an approval for us to extend the CDBG, which is tied to the senior center at Fairburn Road. It was a 2021 grant. We had 2 years to expend the funds, but due to COVID and sole source bidding, we are now at the point where we recently did the groundbreaking for that senior center, and so we're moving forward, and we have to ask for an extension every 6 months beyond the end of the grant period.
Okay. Any questions, board? Okay. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good morning again. Then I know we can't forecast the future, but do we feel pretty confident that HUD will accept this letter to extend the grant period?
Yes, they have. This is our 4th request, because we should have expended the funds by October 2023, but we know COVID happened, and so here we are. Yes, sir. So they will.
Okay, we feel pretty confident, though. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
So you are coming back before the Board of Commissioners every 6 months, but there's no actual change or modification to the request?
No, there's no change. So this time we've asked for an extension and to afford Madam Chair the opportunity to sign the next 2, which will take us through the construction period.
And so in 6 months, will you have to come back again, or is there? And I
No,
guess maybe
that's what
is the
this
question.
is for here today, so that we will not have to come back again. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. That was my question. How can we streamline that?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenner Jones. Any other questions, board? Thank you, Managing Director of Community
All right.
Service, Dr. Gilchrist. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, you have the floor again.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have under business items number 10 is approval of TEFRA report and resolution for Wellstar Health System, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And we have Jimmy Swartz, Vice President of Accounting from Wellstar Health Systems, Inc.
Hey, good morning. Here to present the TEFRA request. So Wellstar will be issuing, or will be refinancing some bonds that were issued originally in 2005. We've refinanced those in 2017. We're now refinancing those again. We'll be issuing those bonds through the Cobb County Kennesaw Hospital Authority, but as part of that issue, there's about $10 million of improvements in equipment for the Douglas Hospital facility, and under the TEFRA Act, which is the IRS rules for tax-exempt financing, we're required to hold a public hearing. That public hearing was held. We provided notice. No one from the community presented. We're seeking approval for Madam Chairman to sign and authorize the bond validation that says we've gone through all the right steps. Douglas County has no obligation on these bonds. It is a fully backed by the revenues of Wellstar Health System and its affiliated entities.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Swartz. Any questions, board? No questions?
Okay,
All
thank you very
right,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Number 11 is approval to amend the contract with Malden and Jenkins pursuant to solicitation number 24-005 for extended time services in the amount of $38,000 for 2023 auditing services to be funded from the General Fund, Department 190, General Appropriations Budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Dominique O'Shea.
Morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, County Administrator. This amendment is actually a change order. There is no change in scope of work. However, it is necessary because we encountered some challenges with fixed assets depreciation and the profile of the module, including us converting grants from general fund to grant funding. Those actions required, especially with regards to the fixed assets, assistance from Tyler Tech to reprogram some items. As a consequence of this delay, the auditors put in more work than was originally anticipated in the original contract, and this is the cost of it.
Okay. Any questions, board, for our CFO and deputy CFO? No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Number 12, approval of a change order with Rayland and Associates, Inc. for the corrected drawing log in relation to the landfill transfer station project, in which the terms of the original contract shall remain in effect with no additional cost to the county, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Anthony Choice.
Good morning.
Good
Madam
morning.
Chair, Board of Commissioners, County Administration. In December, you guys approved a solicitation 24-041 for the construction of landfill transfer station. And in that contract, they submitted what's known as a drawing log. Well, the contractor realized that he submitted the wrong drawing log, and so he's resubmitted a new one which requires a signature. There is no cost to the county. It's just a matter of a signature. For me, I think it's just a formality for the contractor to make sure that we are acknowledging the log change. Answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you so much, Director Choice. Any questions for our procurement director? All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Number 13, approval of a contract with CoStar in the amount of $12,000 for an annual subscription for commercial and industrial development data to be funded through the Planning and Zoning Department budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Allison Duncan.
All right. Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners.
Good morning.
Today, I'm bringing a request to purchase a subscription to CoStar. This is a market analysis database, and y'all may recall this was something we had discussed in the context of the recently adopted moratorium on small box discount retail stores. We did review 4 programs offering similar services, and we are recommending CoStar given its functionality of the platform. Specifically, you can it's searchable and cross-indexed by multiple asset types, and so we think that that will be very helpful as we're trying to deliver on the information that you've asked of us. It's also a national database, so it's not going to be specific just to Douglas County. It's information that we can query nationally to compare trends of how Douglas County may compare with other jurisdictions, not only in Georgia, but throughout the United States. And we've had a very positive customer service experience, so that is the reason that we are recommending them among the 4 programs that we did review. Now, there is one provision that, as we have been looking at the contract with legal, I had indicated that we wanted to be very transparent about. They do have a provision in their contract that says that we cannot cancel for convenience. And so that was something that legal had flagged, and we wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Mm-hmm. And though I did put the amount on the agenda as $12,000, as we've been going back and forth about the contracting provisions, if we are willing to pay in advance, the $1,000 per month fee gets a bit of a discount to $950 per month if we pay in advance. So that would be $11,400 annually, or if we start our contract April 1st and run it through December 31st, that would only be a fee of $8,550. So all of that information is shared with you to say that, number one, I would like your feedback if you are comfortable moving forward with a contract that clarifies that we cannot cancel for convenience, And in doing so, we would get that small discount if we do pay in advance. So what we're looking at is $8,550 between April 1st and the end of the year. And if I have not stated that correctly, or if legal would like to add any additional information, I'm happy to have them do that. But otherwise, we are looking for you to approve us to move forward to continue with the contract for this vendor. And I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board, we have any questions for our planning and zoning manager? Okay, Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
So was the option only from April to December, or did they have an option from April to April?
We can write a 12-month contract going April to April. They said most of their contracts do work on a calendar year, so a January to December, which they've indicated we could do that. But I think that they are amenable if we need to write it sort of in April, to March 31st. And then we would come back to this board if you're inclined to renew if we find that the service is working the way that we feel that it should. I've used CoStar in my previous role at the Regional Commission. My colleague Melody Glenn has used it in her role as a market analyst, and so we are familiar with the platform, and we feel very comfortable recommending that we move forward with it. It's just been a little more back and forth than we typically have for these kinds of contracts, I think because they tend to target more private sector real estate professionals. They do work with some governments, but as we all know, government procurement is a bit of a different thing. So they've been very flexible in working with us. The only sticking point was that cannot cancel for convenience, but we appreciate them offering a discount if we paid the full contract in advance.
And do you feel confident that you'll have the data and information that you'll need by December 31st if we go just with the April to December option?
Sure. So again, I think that for some of the initial projects that we anticipate using it on, I don't anticipate that we would need it longer than that. However, if the board determines that they like the information that we're providing to them, specifically one of the reasons we're pursuing this is we understand that we've gotten the feedback you'd like a little more context in some of our zoning applications when we're bringing you non-residential projects. So we have pretty good information about sort of the residential lay of the land here in Douglas County. It's a little bit harder to search commercial because, like I said, what's beneficial to this is it's cross-indexed by asset types, right? So when I say that, it means I can search data center, I can search dollar store, I can search small box discount retailer, I can search gas stations, right? And I get that asset type, which is not always how we classify things here, with our local resources. So again, it will be up to y'all, quite frankly. I mean, if we don't see that it's beneficial, then we're obviously not going to bring it back to you. But if you are liking to see some of that initial context that we intend to provide with our applications, then we would, certainly revisit that at that time.
Well, I just would say I appreciate you guys getting this back in front of us so quickly. I think the residents are going to be pleased because this will be the first time that we're actually being responsive to their request of not seeing the same types of businesses, having the opportunity to identify similar jurisdictions that have some of those higher end retailers so that we can get a focused program and plan to bringing businesses here that are desirable. So I do appreciate you all being responsive to that request and getting this going. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenner Jones. Commissioner Braxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
So just a question, based on the great information that they have and the context of what I reviewed in the contract, is there an opportunity for potentially our tax commissioner's office and our board of assessors office to also utilize the system and network?
Sure. So my understanding is we have purchased 2 licenses with the agreement before you. If we needed to increase that number of licenses, we could see if there's an increased fee for doing that, or if there's information that they would request of us, like if there's other departments that could utilize it, we could certainly research and provide that information to them. If they want to be able to research it on their own, we would have to provide them their own license, and I don't know what it would cost. I can try to have that information to you tomorrow. Like if it's an additional fee per however many licenses, I can certainly have that information to you today or tomorrow before it actually gets voted on, if you would like that. But they do understand that it would be our intent to share, the information with multiple county departments. And they are aware of that. So that we had identified some additional departments. I hadn't thought about the tax department, but we could certainly work with them. Code enforcement is one of the departments we work with very closely. And one of the things we liked about this platform is it provides you true owner information. So if we're having a hard time issuing citations, they can either do custom search or if they don't have that true owner information available. And we thought that could be very helpful as well.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great just to know what the additional fees would be. And again, I just see some of the benefits, like you said, with our tax commissioners as well as our board of assessors and locating property owners and having updated information that's real time.
Sure thing. It's very similar. When we did the Deckard contract, which is what we used for the short-term rental monitoring, we made sure that our travel and tourism had a license to it because that was information they had specifically asked for. So, so not a problem at all to share that information going forward if need be. So.
All right, great.
Oh.
Thank you. I didn't know if did you have anything else to add?
I did.
Attorney? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners.
Good morning.
Just two things for the benefit of the conversation.
Sure.
The first one being is that the tax assessor does use this service already.
Okay.
And then secondly, legal is okay with not being able to cancel for convenience by it being an abbreviated contract anyway, with the likelihood that we will pay up front. That's fine. Obviously, that would be counterintuitive if we did. And certainly if the contract is renewed for an additional term, then we would likely have the ability to terminate just with notice for whatever reason prior to the end of the term for it not to renew for an additional term. So with that clarification, legal is fine with the way the contract is written.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton, and thank you so much, Madam County Attorney. Thank you. And thank, you have another. Clerk?
Okay,
Madam
number
Clerk.
14.
Yeah.
Approval of a contract with Ross and Associates in the amount of $98,350 to establish the Douglas County Impact Fee Program with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Allison?
All right. Good morning again.
Good morning.
Today, I'm presenting an overview of our impact fee study. Several of the commissioners have already seen this as we took this to Finance Committee originally, and then we also took it through Residential Committee. But for the benefit of all the commissioners, we would just like to remind you that what we are bringing forward today is a request for consultant services to help us identify whether or not impact fees would be a tool that will work for Douglas County. Specifically, impact fees are an incremental unit that can be added on to various types of development. It can be used to help offset cost for transportation improvements, parks, libraries, senior centers, public safety. And one of the things that we're asking for today is for the assistance from Ross and Associates as our consultant team to advise us as to which of those fees could be used for those various areas. In regard to who uses impact fees, I just want to make it clear that only about 10% of jurisdictions in the state of Georgia have chosen to use this as a tool. And you can see the list up there that is provided by the Department of Community Affairs. These tend to be jurisdictions that are in fast-growing areas, so a lot of them are in urban areas, many of them here in the metropolitan area. One of the things that we will have to identify as a part of this is a capital improvements element, our CIE. The capital improvements element is going to be the document that drives what we are able to collect the fees for. So very much like SPLOST or similar programs, you have to say what you're going to spend it on. It's not just sort of a blank check that we are getting from the developers coming into the community. In regard to the scope of services, you can see it's divided into 7 tasks. So this will take about a year, from the notice to proceed to getting all the way through to presenting you an ordinance to adopt. Now, at that time, it is totally your choice as to whether or not you want to adopt that ordinance. What we're doing is just going through the process to do the analysis to determine what fee would be appropriate, what services it would be appropriate for it to be collected upon. And then I know we've gotten the question about how much money could it potentially bring in. That answer I cannot provide to you today because we don't know what the fee would be, but I've also included a chart of information here that shows about how many permits we've been issuing annually for various types of development over the last 5 years. So we are looking at a fee of $98,350. This is budgeted in the 2025 budget for the Planning and Zoning Department. Again, this would be 12 months from notice to proceed. 2 questions that I want to kind of circle back on that were asked to me during the committee presentations. So the first was, have there been any studies showing that impact fees have a negative effect on the volume of permits in a community? I have worked with our consultant team. And the feedback we've gotten is that there are no studies that we're aware of. But again, I would remind you that this is only in about 10% of jurisdictions in the state of Georgia that use this tool, and those tend to be in the faster growing, more urban communities. There was also a discussion at our residential committee about how many impact fee advisory committee meetings are required. The state law only requires 1 meeting, actually, of the impact fee advisory committee. Our scope calls for 3 total for the course of the 12 months that we're working on this. But this is not going to become a standing committee, right? So once we get through the 12 months and bring the ordinance to you, just because you adopt the ordinance does not mean that we're creating another standing citizens committee. We do have Paige Hatley here with Ross & Associates who can answer any questions that you may have. Beyond that, I will pause there and glad to take any questions or feedback that you may have as well.
Thank you so much, Manager. Any questions for our manager, planning and zoning? Alice? Okay. Lisa?
Okay.
All right.
Madam Clerk?
Number 15, resolution approving a moratorium on certain applications for computer infrastructure providers, data processing, excuse me, web hosting and related services, along with necessary structures and uses for 90 days for a review of the Comprehensive Plan and Unified Development Code, as well as related documents and studies, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And this was deferred from our February 18th, 2025 meeting. Allison.
All right, thank you. This is a request to bring forward a moratorium for 90 days, as our clerk has said. During this 90 days, we would propose to look at kind of the volume of applications we have for data centers. We would look at some comparative information on data centers, and we would return some recommendations to the Board of Commissioners in regard to our comprehensive plan and our Unified Development Code. Since we first had this on the agenda about a month ago, I wanted to bring a few updates. So right now we have 4 projects that are currently in some level of review. So there's 2 projects, so Stack and Big Power. At this point, they are hoping that they will be on the May 6th agenda. If the moratorium is adopted as presented, it would potentially capture those projects and delay them for 90 days. There is a project for Stream Data Centers that is still in DRI review. We do not anticipate them coming forward in the next 90 days. And then we've recently received a project for the Hickman property, which is off of Tyson Road. They are proposing a 6 million square foot data center campus there. They have submitted their application to trigger the DRI review, but they are still several months out from being ready to present. So if you adopt the language of the moratorium as presented, it is conceivable that all of those projects would be captured in that moratorium. It would not be able to move forward until such a time as the moratorium is lifted or it expires. Additionally, I have awareness of 4 other sites, 3 of them in District 4, 1 of them in District 1, that are proposing to come in and bring an application for a data center on the property. Finally, want to clarify, this does not apply to the battery energy storage facilities that we are also currently reviewing. So this is written very specifically to just apply to data centers. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Manager, any questions for our planning and zoning manager? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Number 16, approval of a resolution granting signature authority for the E911 director to be able to sign acceptance certificates from Motorola Solutions for project deliverables and billing events during the build of the backup E911 center in relation to a contract that was previously approved by the Board of Commissioners pending final legal review. Katrina Harley.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, County Administration. This resolution is just simply for signature authority for myself to be able to sign the acceptance certificates at different project deliverable intervals for Motorola. As you know, we came before you in December and entered into a contract with Motorola throughout the build of the backup E911 center. And at certain intervals, as Motorola completes the project, they will require signature. And without this, I will need to come before you each and every time they complete a project deliverable, which will then delay the project because they won't go on until the next deliverable until they have that signature.
Thank you so much, Director Harley. Any questions for our director? Commissioner Kenna Jones, you have the floor.
It's not really a question, it's more of a comment, but what I notice a recurring theme when you come before us, when Julia Janka comes, Dr. Gilchrist, that a lot of these items are to help promote efficiency. I really appreciate that. there are a lot of contracts that we approve, and then I find that we're delayed in moving things forward because people are having to come back for things that are either not changing the cost or not modifying a contract that has already been approved. So is there any way, legal, that we can look at coming up with a plan or some type of resolution to keep these processes more streamlined? I appreciate redundancy, but some of this stuff is overkill, and it's really delaying projects for the county, and delays ultimately do end up costing money.
I definitely think so. We tend to defer if there's something that we think will materially alter something, because we think that you all should be able to have input with respect to that. We also build into a lot of our agreements where it can auto-renew. So if there's not a challenge and you want to continue to go forward, then it just does that unless there's some problem that we want to discuss a resolution to. So those are things we do look at in promoting efficiency, and certainly we work with the departments when they come to us, as Hartley did on this, and I think a few other departments have as well.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenneth Jones. Any other questions forward? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hartley. Okay. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Number 17, approval of a change order with Rayland and Associates, Inc. in the amount of $116,470.41 to be funded through the 2022 SPLOST funds, in which the terms of the original contract shall remain in effect in relation to the landfill transfer station project to demo and provide asphalt for the driveway into the new facility, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Julia Janka.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair,
morning.
Commissioners, County Administration. I bring to you today the change order for the landfill transfer station with Rayland. As you go into the facility of the old, where we were doing the renovations, the driveway going down is not code and will not support the ongoing future of when we bring in the trucks to move the materials recycled or the waste out. So that driveway will have to be replaced. We had hoped to be able to reuse it, but as the course of the development, as they're going through the process, they realized that the driveway is subpar, so we do have to repair it, replace it, tear it up and replace it. We did look at it internally. We do not have the resources in-house to do it through DOT. Staffing is not available, so they did look at the cost and the quote. They did reaffirm that the price was reasonable for the work being done. So therefore, we come before you today as a change order. It will raise the cost of that project to $6,170,730. Let me try again. $6,170,730. And at this time, we're just asking for the change order to be approved.
Thank you so much, Director Janka. Any questions for our Director? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so thank you for explaining that, because that was one of my first questions, was why was this not included as part of the original contract
Yes, sir.
about the driveway and the asphalt? So thanks for clearing that up. In the documentation, I'm seeing change order number 2, and I'm also seeing reference to change order number 1. So I just want to clarify, is this change order number 1 or 2?
It's change order number 2. Change order number 1 was what Director Choice presented. It was just a typo.
Okay. Okay, so I just want to make, just from a legality standpoint, just ensuring that that is, if it's consistent, if it's change order number 2, that we show that and reflect that.
Okay.
And then will there be any delay based on this change order for the completion of the landfill here?
No, sir, there will not be delay. In fact, this will not take place until towards the end of the project. But we wanted to get it up in front of you so they can plan accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a separate side note, there is a groundbreaking this Wednesday at 2 p.m. for the transfer station. Please come out if you can join us.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Vice Chair, you have the floor.
And Heath, or Director Cowerbeck, may be able to help with this one, but when we talk about driveways, are we talking about the driveway that should actually turn into the transfer station? Or are we talking about the, what I'm going to call the exit coming up the hill out of the transfer station?
So, you see this? So the highlighted portion, This is the old transfer station here. This will be this will be the first thing rebuilt, and the recycling center. The highlighted portion is the existing asphalt. That's what's going to be tore up and replaced. All of this is factored in. This it was factored in as, you know, it's already there and we're going to try and use it, but it's not going to withstand the weight. So
Okay.
that's essentially it.
Because I didn't know if maybe this is also part of that process, because it looked like from a lot of the weight coming up that hill as you exit out of the transfer station, that asphalt is in rough shape. So I didn't know if maybe if that was going to be included in that repaving.
Not in this, but that's already covered.
Okay, perfect. All right, I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chair.
And Madam Chair, if I may, and I apologize for interrupting, just for the purposes of this public forum, we will have to make any documents that we are utilizing available to the public.
Okay. My apologies.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, any other questions for it? We're going to move on to the next item. Thank
Okay.
you.
Number
Deputy
18,
Attorney.
approval of the contract with UES for $20,900 for the construction special inspections needed for the E911 backup center to be funded by E911 funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Julia?
Good morning, again. This is for the standard county protection. This is what we've done in the last 3 or 4 projects that we have come before the board and requested. This is the part where we have a special inspection that comes out and looks at how the construction company is managing the build. In particular in the case here, and I'm just going to reference the senior center. In the case of the senior center, we've identified rock. We've had rock at the fire station 9. We're anticipating rock at this facility. And what happens is when there's rock identified, somebody has to come out with the construction company and assess what is in the rock, how is it going to take to extricate the rock, and at what quantity and quantities is that, because there are contingencies within the contract for rock removal, but we need to be able to estimate the amount of rock and then what the effort is to get there to be able before we can attach it. And these companies like UES and some of the other ones that we have used here provide us that special protection and those extra resources that we do not have within the county.
Okay. Any questions for it? Okay. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Number 19 is approval of a contract with Comcast for the implementation of Eagle Eye cloud-based camera video management system for Fire Station Number 9 in the amount of $70,000, which includes hardware installation setup fee for 36 months of maintenance, to be funded by reallocating SPLOST 2016 Fire Station 9 building contingency funds from Caliber 1 to Comcast, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Julia?
Again, good morning. This is for the county has a standard for how they do their security systems, on which our director, Elliot, sorry, I don't want to put him on the spot. He has established a standard for how we do security systems within the fire department. I've asked originally for $70,000 to be reprogrammed out of our contingency fund within the fire station, so there's no additional cost to this project. We're just reallocating the funds away from Caliber 1 to this part of the project. However, we do have an assessment going on tomorrow afternoon to validate that is the number of cameras initially quantified in the first walkthrough is still needed. We had a meeting last week with the fire department. We are not sure we need the same quantity of cameras based on location and space. We don't want to infringe on the privacy of the fire people to be able to do their job, but we want to be able to give them the freedom to be able to protect the facility, but at the same time not have invasion of privacy. So we're going to reassess that tomorrow. So that price may come down some, but I cannot predict that at this point. We've also included 36 months of maintenance, so there is time for the fire department to get up and going, to be able to kind of operationally figure out how the station is going to facilitate before they have to pay an ongoing annual maintenance fee.
Any questions for our Director Jenkins? Okay, thank you, Director.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Number 20, approval of an agreement with Tyler Technologies in the amount of $20,650 to be paid in 2 payments, being funded from the appraisal department's budget to complete the required enterprise assessment and tax system updates to accommodate the House Bill 581 changes for the appraisal office, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Steve Balfour.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Administration.
Good morning.
This item has been before the board before and was approved, subject to legal review. After legal review, legal has suggested that it was tied to a master agreement with Tyler. So legal has recommended that we detach this agreement and make an independent agreement. And it's now with Tyler's legal looking over the agreement. So this is all, it's just a change in the language on the agreement.
Okay. Any questions, board? Okay, no questions. All right, thank you, Director Balfour. Madam Clerk?
Number 21, we have a board appointment for the Douglas County Board of Assessors. We have we have a vacancy that was due to a resignation. The term is August 20th, 23 through August 19th, 2026. So this will be to fill an unexpired term. We had 2 applications received, which I had forwarded to you previously. Francisco Artley and Jarrett Mitchell. So we'll just need direction for tomorrow's agenda.
Board, have you had an opportunity to look at these candidates
Yes.
that have applied? And okay, so tomorrow we would just vote accordingly on the floor. Is that okay, Deputy County Attorney? County Attorney?
I believe so. I believe
Okay.
it's sufficient.
Okay.
Based on the
Yes.
agenda item.
Okay, that's what we will do, Clerk.
I did have one question about that.
Okay. Commissioner Braxton, you have the floor regarding your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just a clarification, for the Board of Assessors, are those considered as district appointments by the Board of Commissioners, or are all of the Board of Assessor members appointed by the Board of Commissioners as a whole?
As a whole, Board of Commissioners as a whole.
Okay, 'cause I've heard varying thoughts about that and feedback even from some of the prior boards where they have indicated that they made an appointment to replace their particular district board member to the Board of Assessor. So I just wanted to just clarify that before we go to the vote tomorrow.
I will do further research,
Okay.
but that, to my knowledge, that's never been done in the past by district. But I'll confirm that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, Madam
Any-
Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Board? All right. Tomorrow, well, we'll just be prepared to approve expenses tomorrow. That's tab number 22, and that would be for Commissioner Braxton's expenses. And Board of Commissioners, are there any commissioner comments? You had one last year about our efficiency.
We'll get you tomorrow.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Madam Deputy County Attorney, do we need to go into executive session?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair, we will need to go to executive session for a few items for the purposes of the 4 stated purposes in the statute. If we could do that, I think that would cover all topics.
Okay, do we want to name those various?
Yes, Madam Chair, I can. Personnel, cybersecurity, real estate, and litigation.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of going into executive session, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 4-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries to go into executive session. Citizens of Douglas County, we will return momentarily to allow the Board of Commissioners and I to engage in executive session. And thank you so much for your patience.